I just got back from seeing Briston Maroney with Jackie Hayes at Union Stage in DC. If you know DC venues, Union Stage is a purpose-built live music basement bar that caps out at around 450 people. The stage is about 3 feet off the ground with no photo pit, which allows musicians to directly interact with their audiences, and this was definitely the perfect setting for the performers on the bill on that night's sold-out show. The staff at Union Stage were super friendly and helpful, and the size of the place allowed for really quick access from standing room to the bar, restrooms, coat check, and most importantly, merch. Briston Maroney had a wide variety of merch on sale at this show, from records to signed tour posters to my personal favorite, Realtree camo bedazzled t-shirts. Jackie Hayes had merch out as well, but I think she had posted on her Instagram or something that she wasn't feeling real great after the show, and so her merch actually wasn't on sale, but it was pretty cool from what I saw, and her set honestly left me wanting to hear and see more of what she has to offer. She was a fantastic opener. Her recent EP, There's Always Going to Be Something, is out now on Fat Possum Records, and I have it right here. It's a solid record all the way through. She played nearly every song from it, plus some unreleased tracks from her upcoming album that she teased at the show. She had a fun and energetic stage presence, which is something I love to see from opening acts. I've mentioned on here before that openers sometimes ask for way too much in terms of crowd participation, but Jackie had that perfect balance that left audience members warmed up for the rest of the show, but with all her music still stuck in our heads. I think what I like most about her set is that she sang her music differently than how her recordings sound. I know many artists adapt their music to a live setting in that way, but when held in contrast to Briston Maroney's performance, the two were excellent foils of each other. I did find that Briston Maroney's live presence more closely matched what you hear on like the studio recordings than Jackie's did. It was a little more raw, and I really liked that. Between the two sets, as the crew prepared the stage for Briston's band to take over for the night, the stage lights and mic stands were wrapped in these vines of sunflowers, which also happens to be the name of Briston Maroney's debut album, Sunflower, and the one he was touring in support of. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the area they had to work with was small, but in just a few short minutes, they were able to set up an intimate backdrop for a similarly charming show. The very first thing that I think most people noticed when they took the stage was the immediate chemistry shared among each member of the band. Aside from Briston, we had Devin on guitar, Zach on bass, and Nathan on drums, and through the entire set there was a good amount of banter between each other and with the audience. They kept up the energy the entire time, and at no point did any of them seem bored. They were all just like smiling throughout the entire thing, which was really impressive in itself, but it also becomes relevant to my next point. I can't speak for the entire tour, but at least for the last several shows before this one, they played the exact same set list each time and made no changes in the songs played or the order they came in for the DC show. That was all information I got from setlist.fm for the past several shows before this one. As many of you know, bands will often make changes to their set list from show to show for a number of reasons. Earlier on, it could just be them working out the kinks in the set, and a small part of it is to keep us fans on our toes as well, I guess, but the main reason is usually just because I can't imagine how monotonous it must feel at times playing the same thing over and over again, night after night, for weeks and sometimes months straight. Again, it's also cool for audience members because then we can feel like we're getting a truly unique product if no show is exactly the same as another, at least on paper. However, the advantage to this method of just playing the same set list every time is that, first of all, we don't have to feel like we're missing anything if each show is the same, but mostly, as the tour goes on, it allows the performers to focus less on what they're playing and more on where and who they're playing for. And now for some highlights from the show that the set list just won't tell you. First, Briston played June completely solo. It was just him and his guitar while the other guys went backstage, and it truly was a great moment. Later on, as the show got more lively, Briston switched guitars between Y and Sinkin insanely smoothly. Like, I'm sure some people didn't even notice, and that kind of coordination is something else that comes with sticking to the same set every time. It leads to a more polished final product. Probably one of my favorite moments of the whole night, though, is after they played Sinkin', Briston turned around to talk to Nathan, presumably about how to kick off the next song, And in the relative silence they had created, some random girl from the audience just yelled, "It's my friend Natalie's birthday today!" And a bunch of people around them just started singing happy birthday to Natalie, all while Briston's back was turned. And as soon as the crowd hit that last note, the band launched into the next song. So at that point it was obvious they were just standing there politely waiting for Natalie's birthday song to be over, and that was just really nice. Also of note, intermittently throughout that next song, I've Been Waiting, the band went into a bunch of halftime sections, which caught all of us off guard, in a good way, and that was fun, for sure. Finally, what appealed to me so much about this show, and probably what appealed to most other audience members, is that at the end of the night, just before the encore, Briston told all of us that he just wasn't having a great day that day. But he elaborated that he feels incredibly lucky to even have a platform where he can be so honest about how he feels and yet be accepted by everyone who listens. And that is what really made this show for me. An expression of the bigger picture of why he does what he does, why our support means so much to him, and I think that's why his music is appreciated by so many listeners. To quote Ben from the New York City band Bodega in a recent interview, "It takes a true tough soul to be vulnerable." And I think that quote describes Briston Maroney's stage presence very well. Overall, if you couldn't tell already, this was a fantastic show from start to finish by both acts at a great venue and with a loving audience. And that's all I got. If you've seen Briston Maroney live before, share what your experience was like in the comments. I'd really love to know. As always, subscribe to stay in the loop for upcoming interviews and concert reviews. Listen to those interviews on Spotify as well, and follow me on Instagram for everything else. Thanks.